What up, guys? I'm Hunter Peterzak.
And I'm Nathaniel Graham. And
welcome back to Philosophy for Free. Well, last week, Nate and I covered the first 6 chiropractic principles straight out of the chiropractic textbook.
That's right. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope it got you thinking about chiropractic philosophy a little more with that lens, and how our philosophy is based on the intelligence that permeates all of existence as we know it. Just want you to remember that these principles were not created by chiropractic. They were discovered by our founder and developer and systematized for our understanding.
That's right. I hope that last week we sparked something, and that's why you're back. Remember, you can follow on the chiropractic textbook, page xxxi, page 31. We're going to be bouncing over to 32, so have the book ready. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments.
Yep, so to start, we're going to actually start with a little review of last week, nice and quick. So first is a major premise. So we're talking about a universal intelligence being in all matter. So we can, as an example, dive into an atom. Look at the electrons of an atom and notice how the electrons seem to have this intelligence of an organization of how to disperse themselves. Depending on the element that they're creating. And as we build up from the atom, we build into more complex structures, organic and inorganic matter, all the way up to a desk, a chair, a whale, human being. And still those electrons are there, organizing themselves in a way that they're dispersed appropriately for the type of matter they're creating. Really, really fascinating. Just to try to wrap your head around the fact that no one has to really consciously decide where those go, or at least I don't.
That's crazy. That's a lot to think
about. So second was the chiropractic meaning of life. Third, the union of intelligence and matter, which is
the missing link.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Fourth is the triune of life, intelligence, force, and matter. 5 is perfection of the triune. Got 100% of those 3 things to have 100% life, and Hunter will be diving into that today. And 6 is time. So there's no process that does not require time. Just like putting this together, my co-host here, Hunter, has put an incredible amount of time and force or energy into making this happen. Love you so much, man. This guy's on fire.
You're making me blush.
Not scripted.
Not scripted.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready to start?
Yeah, I'm ready to start. Let's move on. All right, principle number 7 is the next one. And we're talking about the amount of intelligence in matter. Can you?
So, when we're talking about the amount of intelligence in matter, we're talking about how there is always 100% in relationship to the given amount of matter. To the given amount of matter. So what would happen if I broke that desk in half, or I broke the spine in half and separated it? Well, we'll stay away from the spine because there's a lot of segments to that. But if we cut this desk right in half, we're gonna have 2 parts of a desk. But this desk right now is functioning at 100% intelligence. If we cut it in half, it's still going to be 2 parts of a whole, but now those 2 parts are 2 wholes. So each part still has 100% intelligence. It's got exactly what it needs, and at that moment for that exact purpose. If we take both parts and put them back together, it won't create 200% intelligence. It will still be at 100% intelligence. Thus saying, if we split it in half, it's not 50 and 50, still 100 and 100.
Boom. Yeah, and diving right back into those electrons, each tiny portion of that desk has 100% intelligence proportional to the requirements that those atoms or those grouping of atoms need. So that was very well said.
The other thing to remember is that universal intelligence is not limited to matter. However, innate intelligence does have limitations involving expression when it comes to matter. Well, we'll touch more onto that when we start going organic and innate around principle 20.
That's right. That's right. Okay, and number 8. We have principle number 8, the function of intelligence. What is the function of intelligence?
Ooh, so the function of intelligence is to create force, right? So we talked about earlier, force is the missing link, and this missing link acts as a bridge, right? From intelligence to matter. So just the easiest way to kind of place this is that without intelligence, there would be no force. Thus, there would be no expression of matter, right? So it's talked about as the missing link, but force is the creator. It's not, okay, pause. Force is the secondary to the creator. The creator is that first intelligence, it's that thought. Force is saying, I'm going to turn this thought into an action. I'm sending it to the periphery, and that next step would be then going through matter. I'm going to physically think about picking up this book, and the action was intelligence telling me, oh, that'd be cool to pick up a book. Then I have force, power going through my hand to the periphery, where now I'm actually going to use my matter and pick up a book. Boom. Book drop.
Book drop. All right, and what's next? What's after 8?
9, I think.
Yeah, I can count. Principle number 9, the amount of force created by intelligence.
So,
How much?
Always 100. Always 100. Is that even a question? It's kind of like if you're like, what would you rather have, $4 or $100? The amount of force is always 100%, which is similar to what we said in Principle 7, right? And since there is intelligence in all matter, we can use deductive reasoning to see that there is force in all matter, which keeps it in motion, and that force is created by intelligence. So force allows for motion, momentum. It's going to help with cycles, which we'll get into a little later. I don't want to go too deep.
It'll be on Sundays.
Yep. Join in on Sundays, live.
Absolutely. And so moving on to the next one, we got principle number 10, the function of force. Love this one. And remember, the term force in chiropractic is actually synonymous with the term energy in physics. Matter and motion.
Matter and motion. So the function of force is to unite intelligence and matter. It's to unite. Like I said earlier, what does a bridge do? It unites one side of the river to the other side, right? Force is that bridge. It's the missing link. Without it, what would we be? I'll leave you to think about that. So remember, an example would be to be taking your thoughts and turning them into actions, right? So I don't know if you've ever heard this. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this, but you are not your. If you've ever been heard or told this, it's you are not your thoughts. You're your actions. Correct? So some people think that based off of the way that they perceive things, they could be a bad person. But are their actions expressing that they're a bad person, or are they just possibly thinking things that they might feel aren't the best things to think? For example, force allows you to take an idea, right? Like kind of just like we just talked about, picking up a book. You have to think about it first. You have to now have that connection between intelligence and matter, which is force, and you have to actually create that action. So it's turning a thought into reality.
Well said. What's next? Principle 11?
11.
The character of universal forces. This is an important one.
This is a big one. So when we're talking about the character of universal forces, right, we're talking about four things, right? We're talking about how they are manifested in physical law. So they can be seen, like, period. Can you see an atom? Probably not.
They can be measured.
They can be measured. That's it.
I got you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They are unadaptive, right? They're unadaptive. They flow through chaos. They are destroying structures, right? So universal forces are always destructive. So when we're talking about destructive, we're talking like the best example for this is that like natural disasters, right? So let's take a typhoon, okay? Kind of talking about a little prior, like they're unadaptive. They're not going to see a farmhouse. Okay, not a typhoon, sorry. If we're talking about like a tornado right now, they're not going to see a farmhouse and they're going to be like, oh, that's a nice farmhouse. I'm just going to go around it, right? They're just going to continue on the path that they're trying to continue on. They have no principles or structure that they're going to follow, right? They have one purpose, and that's what their purpose is. And the thing is that we have to remember is that if there are people in the way of this tornado, these people would get injured, right? But if there aren't people in front of this tornado, the tornado would still be doing the same thing without hurting any individuals, right? So the key here is to understand that the universal forces are not malicious, right? They do not chase things down. They are simply destructive to the structures that are existing in that exact moment where they are. That made sense?
Yeah, very
Beautiful.
well said. Yep, very well said. And principle 12, interference with the transmission of universal forces. So can we interfere with those forces?
Oh, we can totally interfere with those forces. Okay, so hypothetically, rain pour, lightning, you got it all going on, right? So when we're talking about universal forces, we are talking heat, fire, rain, hail, snow. We're talking waves in the ocean. Anything that you could possibly consider nature has a universal force. When it comes down to it, let's say it's raining, right? We're lucky enough to be in a house right now that has a roof, and if it was raining, we'd be protected from that rain. We'd be protected from that universal force, right? So what would be the interference? The roof would be the interference with that universal force that's helping us. But the thing is remember that all universal forces are destructive, right? So even though it may rain once and sunshine next couple days, if it rains again, it's going to do the same thing. And over a period of time, there's going to be a progressive, slow but progressive rate of damage to the roof through that of rain. And this all brings it back to the idea that, the concept that universal forces are destructive.
That they are, by nature.
By nature.
Principle, that's the law. That's just what they do, and it's not a bad thing.
They were doing it before we were existing. You know, before where we are right now. 100,000 years ago, I'm sure there were universal forces doing something somewhere.
It's their job. It's part of their role in the universal cycle of life of destroying things and constructing them, and we'll get to that in Principle 26.
2 episodes.
Yep, 2 episodes from now. So we'll end you off with a quote from Dr. B.J. Palmer. Medicine is the study of disease and what causes man to die, and chiropractic is the study of health and what causes man to live. And these principles are just like an incredible way of building that foundation to understanding, you know, what does cause man to live, what is the cause of health in the natural world.
Beautifully said. So please, if you have any comments, concerns, constructive criticism, or just want to show us some love, drop it down low, hit subscribe, share with your friends. Know that we love you, all love. If you have any questions, seriously, please reach out. Remember, anything worth anything is worth doing well. And also remember, you are exactly where you need to be right in this moment. We love you. You need to love yourself. All we got to say now is thank you for joining us here on Philosophy for Free. See you next week.